My beloved child, do not let the days that have passed become a long shadow cast over the steps you take today. What is old should only be the deep soil where the growing seed takes root, not a cord that binds your feet in fear. There were seasons when you wept, roads where you thought you could go no farther, mistakes that once made you bow your head low. But I want you to understand that not one scratch along that journey has the right to name you in my place. What you have tasted may teach you humility, compassion, and the ability to listen to another's pain, but it must not be allowed to build a throne from which to judge your future. I saw you in the moments when you were weakest, and still I called you by the voice of love. I do not see you as one defeated by the past, but as my child whom I am lifting up, preparing, and leading into a new dawn that is gentler, Vita, and holier. Let your heart become still before me, for I do not love you the way the world loves. The world often measures you by what you can accomplish, by the times you succeed, by your outward appearance, by passing praise or criticism, but I look upon you through covenant, through mercy, through the good purpose I placed within you before you even knew yourself. You do not need to wear a perfect face in order to come near me. You do not need to hide your wounds in order to be received by me. I know every broken piece within you, and precisely in the place where you think only ruins remain, I can raise up a temple of hope. Therefore, do not walk any longer as one condemned. Walk as one who has been embraced, whose tears have been wiped away, whose dignity has been clothed again, who has been called out of the dark room of shame to stand beneath the peaceful light of my presence. Perhaps you once thought that one mistake had enough power to ruin an entire life, that one season of failure could close every door, that the words others spoke about you would become the final truth. But my child, I am the one who opens doors where people think there is only a wall of stone. I am the one who makes flowers bloom on dry ground, who causes springs to flow in barren places, who helps the weary recover strength in the very moment they believe they have reached the end of themselves. When you lay your past at my feet, it is no longer a sentence, but a testimony. It will tell the story that you once fell yet were lifted up, once wandered yet were found, once feared yet learned to trust. Do not despise the road behind you, but do not pitch your tent there either. Receive the lesson, then keep walking. I am not calling you back to shame. I am calling you forward toward the promise. Remember the story of Joseph, the one sold by his own family, taken into a foreign land, misunderstood, and imprisoned in darkness, though his heart had not intended evil. Seen through human eyes, his life seemed to be a series of losses: the loss of his robe, his home, his freedom, and his voice. Yet in the hidden place, I was still weaving another garment for him, not the outward coat of many colors, but the garment of maturity, wisdom, and forgiveness. The years in the pit and the prison did not destroy Joseph. They formed a man who could stand before power without arrogance, stand before those who had wounded him without revenge, and stand before the famine of an entire people as a source of rescue. Do you see, my child, what the world calls a detour may be the very road I use to bring a person to the exact place they need to be. Therefore, when you are in a season you do not yet understand, do not rush to conclude that I am absent. I am still there quietly, precisely, patiently, and full of power. From that story, learn to look back upon your own life with eyes that have been healed. Do not only ask why that thing happened to you, ask what I desire to make of you after it. Do not only view your losses as empty spaces, see them as places where I can pour in grace. Do not only remember the person who hurt you, remember that I can still turn that wound into a gentle river flowing through your heart, so that you do not become bitter, but deeper, softer, and brighter. I do not want you to deny your past, for truth placed in my hands will not break you. I want you to bring it before me, so I may cleanse your memory with mercy. So what once made you tremble no longer controls you. And so, when it is mentioned again, you no longer hear the sound of chains, but the sound of a door opening. Therefore, rise up, my beloved child, not with noisy pride, nor with a rigid will that strains beneath its own burden, but with the gentle assurance that you belong to me. The confidence I give you does not spring from human applause, but from knowing that you are loved even when you are weak, chosen even while you are still learning to walk, and guided even when you cannot yet see the whole road. When doubt knocks on the door of your heart and whispers that you are unworthy, let my peace answer on your behalf. When old memories pull you back toward shame, remember that my hand is stronger than every call of darkness. When you feel small before a high mountain, remember that I do not need you to possess the strength of the mountain. I only need you to place your hand in mine and take each step in obedience and love. There are things I am doing in your life that your natural eyes cannot yet see. A seed lying beneath the ground is not a forgotten seed. It is being covered, nourished, and prepared for the day it rises. In the same way, your quiet season is not meaningless. In the days when you think you have been left behind, I am adjusting the rhythm of your heart, deepening the roots of your faith, and teaching you to distinguish between the noise of the world and my gentle call. Do not measure my presence by the speed of outward change. Many times, my greatest work begins in the most hidden place, a fear being loosened, an old habit being released, a wound no longer bleeding, a small faith being lit again. These things may seem quiet in the eyes of the world, but in my eyes, they are tender miracles. And as you continue walking, do not forget that my light is not only meant to illuminate the way for you, but also to allow others, through you, to recognize hope. One who has been comforted will know how to comfort. One who has been forgiven will know how to open the heart wide. One who has passed through a long night will not easily despise someone trembling in the dark. I am turning your story into a lamp, not so you may boast about how strong you have become, but so you may testify that my mercy never runs dry. Live as one who is being made new each day. Speak words that lift up. Look upon others with merciful eyes. Keep your heart clean from resentment, for you were not created to become a dwelling place for bitterness, but a garden of peace. My beloved child, quiet your heart and listen to what I am placing deep within you. I do not come and go according to the waves of your emotions, nor am I near or far depending on whether you feel strong or weak on a certain day. There are mornings when you awaken with a heart full of peace, feeling as though heavenly light rests upon every breath. And it is easy for you to believe that I am very near. But there are also long nights, when every sound becomes heavy, when prayer seems to touch only a silent emptiness, when your heart feels so dry that you wonder whether I still hear you. My child, I want you to know that my presence is not measured by your passing feelings. I do not disappear simply because you cannot sense me. I do not withdraw simply because your heart is tired. I am still there, more steadfast than the mountains, gentler than the morning dew, more patient than all your waiting. There are many things within you that change from day to day. Joy may come and go. Courage may rise and then settle. Hope may burn brightly and then flicker in the wind. But I am not like these things. I am the one who does not change amid all change. The refuge when your heart is shaken. The lamp that still burns, even when rain and storm cover the way home. Do not place the foundation of your faith upon fragile emotions. For emotions are like the surface of water, at times clear, at times rippled, at times stirred by circumstance. Set your heart instead upon what I have spoken in faithfulness, upon love that is never withdrawn, upon the hand that never lets go. When you learn to trust me even when you feel nothing, your faith will no longer be a flame that burns only when the wind is favorable, but a glowing ember, steady, enduring, and kept within my hand. I know there are seasons when you blame yourself because you no longer feel as fervent as before. You think the dryness in your heart is a sign that you have failed. That days of prayer without tears are days when I am no longer near. But my child, do not condemn yourself because of quiet seasons. A tree is not always in bloom, yet its roots still draw life silently beneath the ground. The sky is not always bright with sunlight, yet the sun does not cease shining because clouds cover it. In the same way, there are times when I teach you to grow not through sweet feelings, but through endurance and silence. I am leading you from a faith that depends on outward signs into a faith that knows how to anchor itself in truth. And when you stand firm in that place, you will realize that silence is not always absence. Sometimes it is a holy classroom, where I train you in a trust deeper than words. Remember the story of Elijah, who once stood before dark powers with great courage, then afterward fled into the wilderness because of fear and exhaustion. There was a moment when he lay beneath a tree, feeling as though he no longer had strength to continue. He no longer looked like a man who had just witnessed mighty power. He was simply a weary man who needed to be touched by kindness. Yet I did not come to him with heavy rebuke. I sent an angel with food and water, so he could be strengthened before being sent onward. Then in the lonely place, I did not reveal myself only through the mighty wind, the earthquake, or the fire, but through a gentle, quiet whisper, just enough to awaken his heart from fear. Do you see? My child, I do not despise the one who is weak. I do not abandon the one who trembles. I know how to draw near with the tenderness you need most. From that story, understand that weakness does not exclude you from my love. On the contrary, when you no longer have strength to support yourself, you will see more clearly that my arm is lifting you. You do not need to pretend to be strong before me. You do not need to hide the trembling in your prayers. You may come to me with the full truth of yourself, your anxiety, your weariness, your unanswered questions, and the empty places no one sees. I do not turn away when you say you are not enough. I only come closer and speak with mercy, saying that I am your sufficiency. When you lack wisdom, I will guide you. When you lack strength, I will uphold you. When you lack peace, I will cover your heart with rest. When you lack a way forward, I will open a path where there seems to be no path. Therefore, do not fear the days when you feel small. An empty vessel in my hand can be filled. A weak hand in mine can be led through the valley. A flickering lamp touched by my breath can burn brightly again. What you call lack is not the end. It can become the place where I reveal my wondrous provision when you do not have enough answers. I am still wisdom. When you do not see enough light for the whole road, I still give enough light for the next step. I do not always hand you the map for the entire journey, but I promise you my presence at every stage, and that presence is more precious than every certainty you desire to hold in your hands. For, with me, you do not need to know everything in order to continue walking in peace. Perhaps right now, you are standing before a crossroads, a burden, or a trial that stretches your heart thin. You want to see a clear sign, hear a powerful word, feel your emotions burn brightly so that believing will be easier. But I am inviting you into a deeper place, a place where you believe not because your heart is excited, but because I am faithful, a place where you walk not because fear has completely vanished, but because my hand still holds yours. A place where you worship not because every circumstance has become favorable, but because I am still worthy of trust in gray and cold days. It is in that place that your faith is made strong, no longer shaken by every wind of emotion or every word from outside. My beloved child, I am going before you, even when you cannot yet see my footprints. I have prepared what you need before you even know you need it. I am walking beside you, not as a passing guest, but as a father who remains with his child in every breath, every decision, every tear. I also walk behind you, covering the gaps you do not know about and guarding you from things you are not strong enough to perceive. You are not left exposed in the battle. You are not forgotten in the waiting place. You are not left alone in the long nights. On every side around you is my mercy. Above you is grace. Beneath you is a firm foundation. Within you is the gentle reminder that I am still here. So let your heart rest, not because every question has been answered, but because you are in the hands of the one who knows tomorrow. Breathe slowly again and recognize that you do not need to feel strong in order to be upheld. You do not need to feel near in order to be truly covered. And you do not need to see the far road in order to take one step today. I do not demand that you pass through every storm by yourself. I simply invite you to lean upon me, day by day, hour by hour, moment by moment. When the sky is dark, I remain the light. When your heart is weak, I remain strength. When you are lacking, I remain the source of provision. When emotions fall silent, truth still sings over your life. You belong to me. You are kept in me, and no night is dark enough to erase my steadfast presence over you. Many times, you want me to open the entire journey before your eyes. You want to know the destination, the timing, the people you will meet, the blessings you will receive, and the trials you will overcome. But my child, if I place the whole picture before you from the beginning, your heart might tremble because of things too great, or rush ahead because of things too beautiful. I know your strength, your breath, and the measure you can carry in each season. Therefore, I often reveal things in part, open the way, step by step, and give just enough light for today, not because I withhold what is good, but because I am teaching you to walk by trust and not only by understanding. You do not need to see the whole mountain range in order to step over the stone before you. You do not need to know all of tomorrow in order to obey today. When you are faithful with the small step I place before your eyes, you are already walking into the greatness I have quietly prepared. Perhaps this season makes you feel separated from many things that once felt familiar. Old voices suddenly grow distant. Places that once brought you safety can no longer hold you. And plans you once gripped tightly seem to be gently loosened by my hand, layer by layer. Do not rush to call that distance a loss. Do not rush to see that silence as abandonment. There are empty spaces that are actually rooms I use to prepare you. There are separations that become the potter's table, where I reshape the lines within you so they become softer, purer, and stronger. When you leave the noise, you begin to hear my whisper. When you depend less on human approval, you begin to recognize the value you have long possessed in my eyes. When you no longer lean on old shelters, you will learn that I am the refuge that never shakes. Remember that before a seed rises above the ground, it must pass through a season of being hidden in darkness. To the eyes of those who look from outside, it seems buried, but in truth, it is being covered so it may sprout. What you are walking through is the same. I am not burying you in forgetfulness. I am planting you into a deeper season. Quiet days do not mean I have stopped working. Doors not yet opened do not mean I am delayed. Prayers not yet visibly answered do not mean I am not listening. I am working in the roots, where human eyes cannot see. But where the strength of the whole tree is determined, I am making your heart more steadfast, your will purer, and your faith deeper, so that when the season of blooming arrives, you will not merely shine for a moment, but bear fruit that endures. Look at the story of Ruth, the woman who left her familiar homeland to follow Naomi into a foreign land. She did not hold in her hands a certain map. She did not know how tomorrow would be sustained, and she could not see beforehand the harvest awaiting her. What she had was only a loyal heart, humble steps, and a quiet faith that the right path is not always the path easiest to understand. When Ruth entered the field to glean grain, it appeared to be only the small task of a poor woman seeking food for the day. Yet, in that ordinary field, I had arranged an encounter that would change the direction of her whole life. Do you see? My child, I can hide great turning points within small duties. I can place a wide-open future inside a day that seems ordinary. I can lead you through lack in order to bring you into a place overflowing with kindness. From that story, understand that leaving does not always appear as a loud and mighty miracle. Sometimes it is simply a quiet decision not to return to the place that drained you, not to cling to what I have told you to release, not to fear stepping into unfamiliar territory. Ruth did not know that her name would be placed within a stream of blessing greater than she imagined. You also do not always know what today's obedience will open tomorrow. But I know. I saw the field before your foot ever touched it. I prepared the people you need to meet, the doors that need to open, the provision that needs to arrive, and the lessons you need to learn. You only need to walk in humility. Do the good that lies within your reach, and keep your heart from bitterness when the road is not yet clear. Do not fear the season of transition. My beloved child, the space between the old place and the new may make you feel unstable, but it is not a land forgotten by me. It is there that I teach you to recognize where daily bread comes from, where water in thirst comes from, and where protection in the long night comes from. When familiar sources are no longer secure, you will discover that my hand has never lacked. I can feed you in ways you did not predict, lift you through people you did not expect, and open a way through circumstances you once thought were dead ends. Do not see the simplicity of this season as a sign of poverty. Often, it is precisely in simplicity that I remove what is unnecessary so you may recognize what is truly essential. And when I separate you, I am also sanctifying the desires within you. There were things you once pursued because you feared being left behind. There were things you once held on to because you thought that if you lost them, you would lose yourself. There were praises you once needed in order to feel valuable. But in this private season, I am teaching you to live from the place of being loved, not from the place of lack. I am teaching you to choose what is pure instead of what is dazzling, peace instead of applause, obedience instead of the easy road. When I make your heart lighter by removing burdens that do not belong to you, you will find your steps becoming freer. When I bring you away from places that confuse you, your eyes will become clearer to recognize what comes from me and what is only noise. My child, be patient with the process through which I am leading you. Not every promise blooms in a single day. Not every preparation is comfortable. The goldsmith does not take his eyes off the gold while it is in the fire. The gardener does not forget the tree while pruning its branches. A father does not release the hand of his little child while teaching that child to walk. How much less would I leave you in the season of refining? Everything I allow has limits within my mercy. Everything I remove makes room for what is more fitting. Everything I delay may be protecting you from a time that has not yet ripened. Let trust replace impatience. Gratitude replace complaint. and hope replace the thought that you have been left behind. There will come a day when you look back and understand why I did not allow you to remain in the old place any longer. You will realize that the times I separated you were actually times when I was rescuing you from smallness. You will see that the months that seemed delayed were actually the time I used to strengthen the foundation within you. You will smile at the things that once made you cry, not because the pain was not real, but because my grace is even more real. When each piece is placed where it belongs, you will see that my hand was present from beginning to end, in the door that closed, in the silent road, in the humble field, in the simple meal, in the friend sent at the right time, and in the strange strength that helped you rise for one more day. There are nights when you lie still, yet old memories continue stirring within your heart. You remember words you spoke, things you did, decisions you regret, and seasons when you wandered away from what was good. You imagine that if you still remember, then surely I also remember in order to condemn you. But my child, your memory is not my sentence. The ache within your heart is not the final word from heaven. There are things you remember because you were wounded, because you are learning the value of purity, because you do not want to return to the old road again. But do not turn repentance into a prison. Repentance is a door that brings you back into the light, not a dark room that locks you in shame for life. Once you have placed what was wrong beneath my feet, allow me to deal with it by my power and my kindness. I know the voice of accusation often does not come loudly, but slips in very subtly. It may arrive on an ordinary morning. When you are trying to begin again, it whispers that you have not truly changed, that you will fail again, that you cannot be loved as before, that I am merely tolerating you rather than rejoicing over you. But discern this clearly: my voice leads you to life, while the voice of accusation pulls you back into despair. My voice may correct, but it always opens the way home. My voice may reveal what needs to change, but it does not crush your dignity. My voice does not make you run away in shame, but calls you to rise in humility. Therefore, when those dark words echo in your mind, do not sit down and converse with them. Turn your eyes toward me and remember that my declaration is stronger than every judgment of humankind, stronger even than the harsh words you once spoke against yourself. My beloved child, I do not want you to live like someone whose door has been opened yet who still sits inside the old prison. There are chains no longer locked around the hands, yet still echoing in the memory, causing one who has been freed to keep walking like a prisoner. I have loosened you from the power of the old. So, do not pick up again the cord that has already been broken. Do not take the failure I have covered with grace and build it into a new identity for yourself. You are not the name of that failure. You are not the sum of the times you stumbled. You are not what others use to remind you of when they want to hurt you. You are my child, called by mercy, lifted by grace, taught to grow, and led into a life that is cleaner, Vita, and filled with deeper peace. Remember the story of the woman dragged before the crowd because of her sin. The hands around her were ready to hold stones. The eyes around her had already condemned her before she could breathe. And in that moment, she was no longer a human being in their sight, but only an exposed mistake. Yet, I came into that place not to deny the truth, nor to leave her in the old sin, but to open another way, the way of mercy leading to new life. When those who condemned her left one by one, she still stood there before the only one who had the right to judge completely. But what she received was not the final stone. It was the opportunity to step out of the past. Do you see? My child, I do not use shame to transform you. I use mercy to call you out of darkness and into holiness. From that story, understand that I never take what is wrong lightly. but neither do I allow what is wrong to have the final voice over your life. I did not save you so you could continue walking in the old ways. But I also did not save you so you would live forever, trembling and hating yourself. True grace does not tolerate darkness. True grace has the power to lift you out of darkness. True forgiveness does not pretend that there was never a stain. True forgiveness is the power to cleanse, restore, and give you a new direction. Therefore, when I tell you to rise, it is not a shallow invitation. It is the command of love, telling you not to remain lying on the ground of regret. It is the hand of the Father, taking hold of you and leading you away from the place where others wanted to keep you forever in disgrace. Perhaps you still ask yourself, have I truly been forgiven? I want you to stop measuring forgiveness by how light you feel on any given day. Your emotions may need time to be healed, but my forgiveness has already been given when you sincerely returned. A child who has just come home may still tremble from the long road, may still have dust upon his clothes, may still feel bewildered before the table prepared for him, but that trembling does not make him any less a child. You are the same. Perhaps you are learning how to believe that you have been received. Perhaps you still need time to practice walking in freedom, but that does not make my love for you any less. I do not stand far away waiting for you to become perfect before I embrace you. I embrace you so you may have strength to walk into renewal. From today, practice walking as one who has been set free. This does not mean you will never remember again, but when you do, remember, you will no longer kneel before old sin as before a cruel king. You will stand in the truth that I have spoken the final word. When shame calls your name, answer with the identity I have given you. When regret tries to pull you backward, take one more step in obedience. When people bring up what I have covered with mercy, do not let your heart collapse. Remain gentle, but also remain firm. Not everyone will understand the process I am doing within you, but you do not need everyone's agreement in order to live in the freedom I have given. The highest affirmation has already come from me. I also want you to use that freedom to become more merciful toward others. One who has been forgiven much will know how to bend down gently before someone who is stumbling. One who has been pulled out of a deep pit will not quickly throw stones at someone who is still trapped. When you truly understand my mercy, you will not become proud because you have risen. You will become humble because you know it was I who lifted you. Let the experience of being forgiven turn your words into a source of healing, your gaze into a place where others do not need to fear, and your presence into a reminder that there is still a way home for those who have wandered. I have not only rescued you from the old burden, I am also making you a sign of hope for those who think they no longer have a chance to begin again. Therefore, lift up your head, my child, not because you have never done wrong, but because I have forgiven you, not because you have made yourself new, but because I am doing a new thing within you, not because everyone has forgotten, but because I have declared you free in my love. Let that word become the ground beneath your feet, the warmth within your heart, and the bell that rings whenever darkness tries to pull you back. You no longer have to bow before the chains of sin and regret. You are invited to step out, step by step, in peace and purity. I am with you on that road, not distant, not cold, but gentle as a father holding the hand of his child, leading you away from the old place and bringing you into the spacious life of grace.